Hello and good evening. This is Doc Severson for the ReadySetCrypto OMNIA newsletter market update for Wednesday, the 18th of December. Okay, yesterday around this time, this is about when I was talking to you guys and writing up the report and saying, all right, well, here is the former lows at about, and this is from November, at about 6,500, just above 6,500 is at least on Bitstamp, where we saw the lows. And what I've been talking about for some time is, man, what I'd love to see is the price undercut this. Remember the undercut, and then on high volume, just scream out of there. And maybe this is where I'm hallucinating about a different market, but didn't exactly see that this morning. So as we got into, and this is Eastern time now, as we got into this morning, look at the lower right here, and we just kind of flew right through there, that 6,500 level, on not exactly what I would call capitulation volume. You know, I'm used to seeing things like this that happen in other markets where we just slide off a cliff and then you just see people back away from the bid and the market just goes into free fall temporarily and then it violently comes back up again. Well, we just don't have that much liquidity in Bitcoin right now. Unfortunately, not like what we had was a couple of years ago or so. So we're getting these lower volume moves, fortunately or unfortunately. Now, what we saw a few minutes later was a nice squeeze to the upside. So this was around 8:24 this morning. Again, these are 12-minute candles, so they're going to show up a little bit bigger and a little bit less granular than if you're watching a 1-minute or 5-minute chart. And the volume is not exactly what I would call massive. So it's not like the liquidity sets up where we had just a massive amount of shorts just get squeezed out. But I guess what the answer is today, and what I'm struggling to say here, is that we had enough volume. So it's not quite the same level of capitulation and volume that we're used to seeing. And to address that, let me bring this back up to areas where, you know, we saw massive amounts of volume, right? So massive amounts of volume, or people just getting it wrong. And like, okay, so here the volume on this particular day was 57,000. And that is at the end of December. So this is almost 2 years ago, about 57,000. And then here's a bounce around this point here, and the volume shows about 71,000. All right, so let's go to the volume at the bottom of, not exactly the bottom, but the biggest down day that we had at this point, and that was about 40,000. So not quite the same as what we saw 2 years ago. All right, and then we had some big volume at the up move here, and that was about 37,000. So let's go to today, and so far today, with about 2 hours left to go in the trading day, the volume is at 11,000. Okay, so pretty sleepy right now. So we're not getting quite the same volume. The market's getting pushed around on a lot less volume at this point. So what does that tell you about institutional involvement? It's not quite there, not quite like we're used to. So we may not get the same spikes. The big spike that we saw back here in October, that was only around 38, 39,000. So we're not getting these big 70, 80,000 BTC spikes like we used to. So a bottom on 11,000, is that going to stick? I don't know. Now back to the 12-minute chart. So what happens on these kind of things is that, first of all, remember rule number 2 is that reversals start from the inside out and then they propagate higher in time frame. So you can see this 12-minute chart, lower highs, lower lows, and all of a sudden we print a higher high here at that point. Okay, now it's game on. You know, game on, man, you know, for the bulls, because higher high, so we should print some kind of a higher low at some point. And you can see that all of this, the pullbacks are very shallow, and this is people chasing the market. And more volume comes in this afternoon, more people chasing the market, right? So now we're starting to get into some of these intermediate trend lines. So let's zoom out one time frame at a time. and see whether or not we're getting reversal. So we saw a 12-minute reversal. Now we have a 1 hour reversal, because we go from a lower low definitely up to a higher high. No question that's a higher high at this point. So we should form some type of a higher low at some point. Now, have we gotten to the 5 hour chart yet? Kind of. The price is right around as an equal high, certainly above this consolidation here. And we're running into a trend line. But again, let's be realistic here. We've gone from about 6,400 up to 7,200. Nice move. I mean, you're not going to find many other markets where we're going to move that big in just a couple of hours. In this case, these are 5 hour candles. So this is about a day's worth of price action. Nice move. But I'm not going to get too excited about this until we start to put in some type of a base. And on the 5 hour chart, I want to see a higher low. So what that looks like is something like this. So maybe we're going to stall out here. The price comes down, and this is where the bears need to stoke up again. This is where the bears need to say, all right, that's it. I've got a better place to short. So all of this shorting underneath 6,500, that's just too obvious, right? That's a safe place to short. So say the retail traders, and they got taken out to lunch. So this could happen again if we create a higher low and then we squeeze above this trend line. So now let's zoom out a little bit. Let's zoom out to the daily chart. Let's see where this trend line is. Oh, not that big of a deal, is it? Okay, so this is just a 5 hour trend line that the price is stalled at. 5 hour trend line. So far, not that impressive. This is just the very beginning of a potential reversal, or this can lead to a 5 hour lower high, rolls over, and back down to the bottom again. We don't know yet. Don't know what that's going to be just yet. Now let's put the chop index on this and take a look and see what this has done in terms of energy. If anything, this should be restorative. We'll get that there. So yeah, we did burn a little energy on the way back down to 6,500. You can see this. And now we're seeing this yellow line tail up again, because all of this is nothing more than sideways or trendless price action, especially if we take the larger perspective. So the weekly chart may actually be pretty good here. Yeah, it's starting to build up again. Now, in a perfect world, we start to get this bottoming action. First of all, on the 5 hour chart, starts to move into the daily chart. What would have to happen to get this to move into an uptrend on the daily chart, right? That's what people care about. So we need to see a little bit of, maybe some type of higher low continuation. That's one way that this could happen. Another way that this could happen is that we get an extended move to the upside and get above maybe 7,800 or so. Something above 7,800, which is going to print a higher high. And then at that point, maybe we're going to get a higher low, continue, or maybe this thing will just scream up to this trend line. Either way, it's a process. It has to build from the ground up. Reversals start from the inside out, and they work themselves higher in time frame. Okay, so let's not get too excited about this. That's a good beginning. Check. I like that. That's a really good beginning. The volume's not overwhelming, so there's not a whole lot of bullish participation in there. A lot of this is short covering from today, like, oops, got it wrong, gonna reload, those kind of things. So this could be a process where we just build ourselves up off the bottom. And the thing to understand here is that you've got to do everything that you can to stay objective about this. I mean, obviously today's green candle for 99% of the people that are hearing this is going to be good news, because we've just been sort of suffering through this longer term drawdown, right? Longer term drawdown, weekly chart. Maybe this is a bull flag. Maybe this is just part of a more intensive monthly consolidation. All of this is just a big monthly triangle. Wouldn't that be something? And that's basically what we're seeing on the log chart if we go out to the monthly chart is just a big monthly consolidation triangle pattern waiting to knock everybody off before this thing finally releases to the upside. And we got a ways to go before the energy is restored on the monthly chart, believe it or not. So that's the bigger picture here, guys. And what I'm trying to say to you guys, and not coming across as very clear right now, but don't get too drunk in terms of what you want to see. Don't give yourself confirmation bias on this. Set up a structure for understanding how you're going to look at this. Again, to me, this right now is a good start, but it's not anything more than a transition into a 1 hour uptrend. So far, this is a 1 hour uptrend. This is not even a change in polarity on the 5 hour chart yet. So this is just the very beginning of something that could take off, or as we've seen in the altcoins lately for a long time, for the last 2 years in the altcoins, another lower high setting up, rolling over again under the weight of that weekly trend. Remember, rule number one, larger time frames dominate the trend. And right now we still have a weekly downtrend. I would love for that to change. That would unleash a lot of different things for us to do. All right, guys, that is it for today's report. Thanks for listening. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Take care.